if the president or as the commander-in-chief were to order the hierarchy of the military to relocate to Borno, because he is the CNC, he is the one who can do that, not an advisor or director. Do you think that will solve anything? What might that achieve?
The only thing it will achieve is just the level of operation will be stepped up a little bit. But I still believe, because of the collateral damage that the politicians do not want to happen because they have a stake in it, it's going to be a little bit different, just a little bit different for what it is.
And this stake you talk about, I mean, it's an option that, because if they explore that and maybe get the people who are behind it, you may discover that they've got a huge following.
Yes, they do. They do.
How do they deal with that, especially if the wheels of justice is grinding slowly? Some of these cases that are in court are still at the preliminary stages.
You see, like a little one that we're trying to take our constitution to the cleaners. Most of everything we base all we do on is shoddy. I'm sorry to say it is shoddy. The baseline brass tacks of everything we do is always shoddy. Governance, security, for God's sake, corruption, you name it. Everything is shoddy, everything is wrong. But we're talking about human lives here. We're talking about a group of people that have a grouse. The grouse is not against the people. The grouse is against governance. Honestly, the grouse is against governance. We don't want this. We don't want education. And you go on air, you go on the media, because you know the media gets you across to the people. And that is why I am using the media to appeal to you. For God's sake, call any of these people out here, we can talk. There is nobody on earth that ventures on anything without a quotient of gain. What is the need for you? What do you want out of it? Is it religion? You're using that as a baseline. You need to whip up sentiments, and the easiest way of whipping up sentiments is via religion. But from all you are doing, what you are doing is based on the fact that you are seeing an inequality on ground and you're trying to address it. I believe you. I am new to that fact. And honestly, for God's sake, call somebody. Go on there. Channels has a lot of websites. Channels is on the platform. Use Channels. And then maybe we can move ahead from there.
Mr. Bakare.
Yes.
We've talked about the military. Chairman asked a question about the Chief of Army Staff relocating, military relocating.
Yes.
We talked about the use of intelligence.
That's right.
What about the role of the traditional institutions and indeed the imams in the mosque, because they do go to the mosque? The local institutions, if you look at the southeast and southwest, some of the things that help to curb issues like kidnapping and armed robbery and all the vigilantes. I mean, what about the role of the traditional institutions in curbing this Boko Haram insurgents?
I'll tell you what happens and what transpires. I am sure more than 50% of the cases, the traditional rulers, the baseline grassroots governance know these people. But they dare not say one word. They dare not say one word. One wrong word and you're dead. Because there's a
death or gain that's stopping them from speaking.
No, the thing is, these people are not totally senseless. I told you the statement of the Northeast now as we speak, is total neglect by Nigeria as a whole, holistically. Everybody sees, the media has now made things very easy. You see the grandeurs in Abuja, you see this, you see more than 300 jets, private jets in Nigeria. There's no manufacturing anything, everybody's just stealing somewhere and then going. And then there is a man who is intelligent and at the same time does not have a meal on his table.
But you see, that's arguable, because you're saying you're neglected, and then someone's beginning to want to do things in your area, but you're even going ahead to destroy those things that they're doing. How then do you paint a picture that you're neglected when you're even destroying the help that's coming to you?
I'll go back to my scenario of the family. If you tell your child, keep quiet, and he keeps quiet, 5 minutes afterwards he will forget. If you say, you got kids, and you insist a little bit, you tend to listen or you tend to ignore. If he starts crying, you will sit down and listen. That is the situation we have on our hands as we speak.
So as we're listening, I mean, we've been listening. So what are you saying? What are they saying? Because the country, the entire country, and indeed the whole world, is listening. But they've not. Nobody has come forth. The kid you painted will come forth and say, "Daddy, okay, this is what I want. This is why I'm crying."
Yeah.
But right now, nobody.
How many years did the cry, the statement, the Niger Delta statement lasted?
You know, a lot of people are arguing that the issues in the Niger Delta are not comparable to the issues with Boko Haram. So you do not compare them.
No, I'm talking about a family setup, and Nigeria is a big family. There is rubbish somewhere, there is neglect somewhere. I don't want to say it, but people say it's not nice preemptor, but I call preemptor a factor of preparedness, because it now becomes you're having contingencies. If I tell you one thing, you won't believe it. If we are through with what I call the Northeast statement, there's going to be a Western statement. There's going to be an Eastern statement. Because everybody's now looking at it that raise some hell and you get some largesse.
Aren't we also perhaps missing out on the fact that they've had leaders over time, over all these years?
Yes.
They've got allocation going to them all these years. So we should be holding leaders accountable in this respect. So how is it the entire Nigeria, where Nigeria allocated some funds to those leaders, shouldn't we be asking the leaders, or shouldn't they also be asking the leaders, what have you done with the resources at that time? If the economy of that region is not as developed, the leaders, the funds all allocated to these places. And they've been in leadership positions as well.
That's right. I will revert back to what the president said when he said there are Boko Haram in his setup. Let's take a little bit out of context. In other words, he is saying there is Boko Haram in governance, which tallies with what you said earlier, that what are the isolated state governors doing now, before, and futuristic?
And they still have security votes, by the way.
Most of their security votes, that's why it's easy for him to say dole out 300 million, because the security votes between that 200 and 300 million.
Oh, there you go.
That in itself is not enough. The idea is what happens to the bulk of the money.
Yeah, but